Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Welcome to the show, folks. Great to have you all here. Seth Udinsky, Samuel Case, and your host, Mark Manila. Mark, it's a Wednesday, and I'm excited for the show today. I hope you are too, brother.
It's a winning Wednesday.
It sure is. That's right.
Yeah, where we put a little focus, a lot of focus, hopefully. Actually, we should do this every day, on our God and Savior and what He's doing and the positive things we're seeing around us. Even in the darkness of a decaying world, we can see God's hands at work. In fact, if you ever thought about it, could you imagine what the world would be like without His Holy Spirit in it, keeping it from going into utter chaos? We'd all be living like a sci-fi movie of survival, you know?
I think it would definitionally be hell on earth, right, Mark?
It absolutely would.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's God's restraining grace, right, guys? It's a pretty amazing gift. We don't often think about it. This world is far less evil than it could be, and we say praise God to that. Well,
Amen.
It's going to be a great show, guys, and we've got the phone lines open, 610-363-1110. We hope you'll consider calling in, folks. We've got a couple lines open, so yeah, give us a call right now. We'd love to talk to you. We're going to talk about Mark's Christian's Guide to Investing, Lesson 1, of course. We meant to do it yesterday. Got a lot of calls yesterday, so we're pushing that to today. Still, the calls are open, and they come first, so give us a call, folks. Again, it's 610-363-1110. We'll also be looking at the San Francisco Fed apparently agrees with what Trump has said, that looks like that tariffs might actually lower inflation instead of raising it. We'll have time to talk about that if we do, God willing. But before all of that, guys, it looks like what's happening in Venezuela, Mark, I think is real fascinating. I think it's good for us to turn our attention there. You know, oftentimes, Mark, when we see threats of war, rumors of war, like what we saw, now I believe it was not so much an act of war as it was a brilliant military operation.
Almost a police operation, arresting the head of a cartel.
Right. Yeah, you're taking down a really bad guy. The Trump administration did an amazing job at this. But you still might expect the markets to go a little crazy. Well, they did the exact opposite, actually. The Dow Jones has hit record highs. In fact, it hit a new record yesterday, actually. Each of the last 2 days has been great. The markets are feeling good as a result of this. Mark, why is this?
Something happening in Venezuela?
Yeah, right. Just a little something.
Just a little something. You know, I'm not so sure I agree even with the assumption that this wasn't a act of war or a military thing. But, you know, I think it's Sam who says we can hold both concepts simultaneously. When we're dropping bombs, when we have stealth bombers going into a country, I think that is an act of war of some sort. Well, I mean, that's the way I feel. And I don't mind calling it what it is, because I think it was the right thing to do, because this country was at war with us. They weren't sending bombers in because they didn't have the technology they had. They were poisoning us continuously. They were bringing war machines into the country from Russia and China, building up for that. It's no different than what happened in Cuba during Kennedy's days.
Iran, too. They were building Iranian suicide drones.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's just so much that was going on. So I don't think we need to be shy about that. But I think the point you just brought up is really important, because oftentimes when we see war, or when we start seeing hints of it, we see the markets just collapsing a bit, pulling back, everybody running for cover, going to safety, going to gold, going to silver, going to, cash, those kind of things. And the weak companies dropping hard and the strong companies dropping a little. That didn't happen at all here. And one of the reasons I believe is that we didn't have time to. Nobody knew about it. The media did not have time to just dump buckets of fear on us minute after minute on every news report. They didn't have time to create the drama of the moment that the world's going to end so they could sell another ad on their news show. You know, that's one of the reasons it didn't happen, is because Trump didn't give us the chance to have to do that. They went in, they did it, it worked, and everybody was like, oh, okay, we're good with it. It doesn't matter. And I think that's one of the reasons, but it also seems like what they didn't threaten the economic global systems that are in place. In fact, it opened them up more. The seas are safer. The countries are safer. The banking systems are safer. Everything's safer because of what happened. So I think the way the companies looked at it, the way the soulless markets looked at it was, this is a good thing. I think we're going to continue on. In fact, we're going to celebrate this. Let's institutional investors said, this is good. There's so much good coming out of this. So the discount, the risk, and focus on how this strengthens our economics was what happened there. And I just think it was a normal reaction instead of the overreaction, the knee-jerk reaction that happens because when the media gets this and they start taking sides and they start all the debates and they start all the arguing, the fear-mongering, the scare tactics, the anti-Trump tactics, that's what causes the markets to start, we don't know what's going to happen. It could turn into a long war. They use all these excuses, but what they really happened is we didn't have the drama.
Didn't have time to develop anxiety. I mean, what you're describing is what internal anxiety is, right? Like you have time to project out what could happen, and then all the voices in your head are going like, well, what will happen with this? What will happen with that? The media is the same exact way, just on a large
No, they're not
scale.
The exact way. Yeah, they're projected, they're enhanced, they're dramatic, they're over the top. It's all of it, especially when and they need to find a way to diss the conservative and the Republicans and everybody. That's what it comes down to. They didn't have time to do that. Also, on top of that, we saw some offsetting areas. We saw energy stocks pop because we know if Venezuela's oil is freed up over the next year or two, that could help lower energy costs if they get that functioning again. We see that the energy that was being sold at discounts on the market illegally to anti-American countries is now stopped. So that's helping with those who are in alignment with America. So the trade's going up. We saw defense and security related names popping as well. So that's good. And we also saw safe havens like gold and silver move a little higher, but my goodness, they've been moving higher anyway. So, some parts of the market priced actually realize the benefits of it. Others priced in the potential benefits, and some just balance it out. That kind of sounds like asset allocation, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I wonder why we do that. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that.
Might be something to that, Mark. Mark, it does encourage me. I make fun of the markets as a whole, and they're, like you said, they're soulless. They're not a person or a sentient being. It's this kind of a non-human entity that we talk about all the time. At the same time, I'm encouraged to see even the markets, even Wall Street, was encouraged at the toppling of a communist dictator. That's good news.
It's about time.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Hey, folks, if you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 610-363-1110. Speaking of Venezuela, guys, I think it's important as we turn to Winning Wednesday here. We're hoping and praying that Christian persecution in this nation will come to an end. Sam, could you give us the updates here on what's going on there?
Yeah, really all I can give you right now is what was it like to be a Christian in Venezuela, because Christians right there are still a little nervous to really give their opinion about what's going on. Understandably, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has described Venezuela as part of a triad of religious persecution and repression alongside Cuba and Nicaragua. It's interesting because Christianity is technically legal in Venezuela, but the communist dictatorship there has severely restricted it. You have to register with the government to make sure that your version of Christianity is really a mouthpiece for the Communist Party, so not really Christianity at all. According to the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, they explain that Christians are, quote, not persecuted for their faith per se, but rather religious actors are targeted or discriminated against due to their independent or critical stance. And naturally, Christianity is going to be independent and critical of communist dictators. Open Doors reports that Christians perceived as critical of the government have been facing church attacks, arbitrary arrests, surveillance, censorship, and denial of basic goods and services, including medicine in emergencies. So we can only pray with the overthrow of Maduro and this transition to hopefully a democracy with the help of the United States that this persecution is finally going to come to an end. And I think it will.
Yeah, and that's an incredible thing to think about. It seems like since Trump's been in, he has worked very hard to support, protect, and defend the Christian community. He calls it the religious community. I think he's trying to be broad in how he talks about things, but the Christian community all around the world and even here at home. I've read many reports of what's going on in Venezuela, and the Christians are celebrating there, both behind closed doors because they're smart and they realize that it's only been a couple of days, but also because also in the streets as more and more relief come in, things happen. It's a step in the right direction. I think we can celebrate this as a Winning Wednesday article and news because it is going in the right direction. But we also need to be in deep prayer for them. So please join us in that prayer continuously for Venezuelans and Christians in Venezuela.
My wife and I, we moved into this neighborhood. We had some experience with Crossroads Kids Club. We had served at another club. We kind of thought to ourselves, like, it would be really cool for us to actually bring in a club that was able to share the love of Jesus with kids directly into the school. And so we started our Crossroads at Hilltop.
Crossroads is amazing. You can learn all kinds of things about God. That He loves all of us. He died on the cross to pay for our sins. That He will help me in every way.
There is just such tremendous opportunity to reach kids in some of these areas that just aren't being reached.
Sometimes I pray every night. When I feel alone sometimes, God is right there sitting next to me. I can rely on Him no matter what happens.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachOurSchools.com.
When it comes to handling money, I'm lost. How to save, when to invest, where to invest. As a Christian, I don't want to give my money to people who are going to use it for things God hates. When I discovered financial issues, it was like a burden was lifted off my shoulders. Not only did I gain access to a simple investment strategy that I can manage myself, I also have the peace of mind that my money will not be going to companies that actively promote things that God hates.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 21 years old. For me, I was scared, I was shaking. They do an ultrasound, and that's when everything changed. When I saw my baby, and when I heard her heartbeat, that was it. We've seen the hand of God ever since we stepped into the pregnancy center.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Today's show brought to you in part by our friends at Crossroads Kids Club. You got to check them out, Crossroads Kids Club. It's reachOurSchools.com is the place to go. ReachOurSchools.com. We love the work that they do, bringing the gospel, the light of the gospel, to some of the darkest places in the world. Speaking of Venezuela, in that first segment, we're also looking at public schools as well, and so grateful for the work that they do. ReachOurSchools.com is the place to go there. Mark, we've got a Christian guide to investing to talk about here, don't we? But first, we got the calls.
So we have to go to the calls first because that's why we're here, to support, help you to grow deeper in Christ through your finances.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Zach. Mark, Zach is calling from Ohio.
Well, welcome, Zach. We're glad you're here with us. What's on your mind this morning?
Hey, thank you for having me on the show, Mark. So can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So my question today is about Western Digital and SanDisk. They've grown a lot recently, and I originally bought them back in 24 when they were on the buy list. And so I've seen a significant upside in these two companies. And I guess maybe I'm looking into this deeper than maybe other viewers, but like I like to look at things like the price to book ratio on a stock. And you've got Western Digital at a PB ratio of about 10, and SanDisk, on the other hand, which split off from Western Digital, has a PB ratio of around 3. And I think that to see these 300 and 600% growth in the stock price, especially for a company like Western Digital, where their revenues are only 50% of what they were in 2022, I'm thinking there's a lot more hype and excitement around the price because of data centers rather than like fundamental growth in the company. And these two aren't the only two selling hard drives, and they could profit from data centers. So I kind of feel like maybe it's a little much with the growth we've seen, and I wanted to see if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I actually appreciate everything you said, Zach. That is good analysis. Just because their earnings grew 5,500% over the past year doesn't mean that the company's still going to keep going through the ceiling. There's a time where it gets so expensive that even those who get exuberant, as we've talked about in the past, start getting concerned. We at Financial Issues and an analyst team, when we look at a stock, we look at its potential. We still think there's upside potential in both these, but we do believe they're overvalued, as you do too. So it's a conundrum of such. Here's how you deal with that conundrum. You do prune it back. I mean, is 600% not enough gain on something to lock some of that gain in? Of course it is. If we let the greed take over,
800.
Let's just take it to 1,000% in a year.
Right.
But those things do happen, and the way we deal with that, we say, okay, it's a strong company that has strong earnings, strong growth. There's all sorts of things about it that are great. Earnings are even forecast to grow another 10, 12% this coming year on like Western Digital and SanDisk. They're just incredible companies, but they're incredibly valued at this point too. So Zach, I think you've nailed it. It's time to lock in some of those gains. And you do that by rebalancing your portfolio at that time. You say, I'm going to lock in some of these gains on Western Digital and SanDisk, and I'm going to bring them back down to maybe 10% of my portfolio if they grew to 20, or maybe 3 to 5% if they grew to 15 to 20%. You just bring it back down, and you still hold on to that company because it still has the steel that we talk about on Financial Issues, and we haven't decided to sell it yet, to put it on the sell list. We believe that there still is potential, and they still have the long-term steel. So maybe it will pull back, but why wait till it pulls back? Why not lock in those gains now and then hold on to what you have left of it? And if it pulls back, won't affect your portfolio as much, and you'll still have it as it continues its growth, or until it starts crumbling because they get arrogant or stupid or start borrowing money left and right and whatnot. But at this point, they're still steel companies and Financial Issues steel companies, and we still want to use them. We just want it to be use prudence as we do so. So I believe pruning your portfolio makes a lot of sense, and locking in those gains. So I appreciate that, Zach. You are right on with this.
I appreciate you taking the question.
Well, thank you. I hope that helped.
God bless, Zach. Thanks for the call. Yeah, Mark, it's really good. I'm guessing that probably helped a lot of people. It's always a balance, Mark, I feel like, of trying to figure out, okay, do we lock in the gains? Do we let it ride? A company that's doing really well, you let your winners run, or do you lock in and look somewhere else? So I appreciate that insight a lot.
It's tempting. Western Digital up about 350% over the past year, so you can get greedy with that.
That's right.
It's easy to get greedy with that, and it's easy to get silly with it too. We talk about long-term investing, and we talk about honoring God with what we're doing. Prudence is a big part of that. we don't need to hold on and milk everything dry and then lose 30% of what God has given us in the growth because we're trying to time the top of the market. We need to lock in those gains and let them grow a little bit more. Oh, does that mean we won't make as much? Yeah, it probably will, because we could lock it in today and WDC and SanDisk could go up another 10, 20, 30%, and we'd miss that on this larger amount. But we still made this amount, and we're still prudent, and it's God's money, so we want to be prudent with it. And then we can utilize that to spread out our portfolio a little bit more. As Zach was saying, there are other hard disk and memory companies out there. So we could actually diversify a little bit into them with those profits that haven't had the same hype. This market's a tough market because there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of smoke and a lot of mirrors going on with a lot of sound fundamentals at the same time. So you have a hard time juggling all that. Bottom line is just take a place of peace, take God's money and manage it like it's God's money, and don't go over the top with it. Lock in those gains when you can, diversify when you can, and prepare for pullbacks and things like that.
That's good stuff. Well, Mark, with the time that we have left, I'd love to hear this lesson 1 of the Christian's Guide to Investing.
You want to jump into that?
I would love to. As I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at the clock, and we're already about halfway through the segment. What do you say? Maybe we'll save it, because I know we want to give this the amount of time that it's definitely due. So what we can do rather than that is look at the San Francisco Fed, which interestingly enough, fellas, it seems like politics does this, the markets do this. They make for strange bedfellows. I never thought that I would be promoting something like the San Francisco Fed in all my wildest dreams. Yet here they are apparently agreeing with Donald Trump. Am I correct in this?
I don't think they think they're agreeing with Donald Trump, but in my mind, I think they are. Well, the San Francisco Fed says Trump's tariffs might actually lower inflation instead of raising it. So all of last year, we heard that the world was going to end, the 7 seals were going to be unleashed because of the tariffs. But now they're saying, quote, our analysis of historical data highlights a possibility that the large tariff increase of 2025 could put upward pressure on unemployment, something we've kind of been seeing, while putting downward pressure on inflation. And what do you know? They're suggesting the policy response should be rate cuts, something that Trump has been saying all along. Again, they don't give him credit for that. And I believe this is a little bit of Trump's consideration here. He wants to implement these tariffs. He thinks that it's going to produce financial and national security, but understands you need to cut those rates in order to secure the job market as well. By the way, speaking of tariffs, this does come as the Supreme Court is about to decide, possibly on Friday, if Trump has the power to impose those sweeping tariffs in the way he did. Yesterday, Trump told Americans to pray that the court approves his tariff policy.
I just wish Trump had come up with the idea of lowering rates sooner. That would have been so helpful if we could have done them last year, Okay, sarcasm. Sorry.
Mark, that could have happened if we had fair and free elections in 2020. Never mind. Sorry.
Let's not get cut off. The rest of this show could go down the path that we don't need to go.
Now, right?
That's right. And for what it's worth, God's sovereignty in all things, we got the second Trump term now instead of 4 years earlier. So
amen and amen. Yep. This is a term I hadn't seen before, but I don't know. Maybe it's something that has been newly printed or something. But demand destruction effect. They're describing a demand destruction effect where higher costs, slow growth, weaken hiring, and soften inflation. And to me that I get it. That makes sense. But I think this was really a backhanded slap at Trump, a sneaky way of saying he may be destroying our economy. And the reality is he's trying to balance everything not to destroy the economy. And quite frankly, I don't think that his moves are destroying the economy. I think what they're doing is that we can't just push a button and all of a sudden 376 new manufacturing plants open up across the U.S. for all sorts of products that we have shipped overseas. It takes time. It takes time. That little button that Hillary tried to use with Russia, the restart button, there is no such buttons. These guys are just out there and they're weird. So we got to stay away from that. Realize there is a J curve to all this. It takes a little time. We also need to realize that time compression does happen when you work hard. Trump has worked hard. In 1 year, he's done more than I think Biden and Obama and maybe 2 or 3 presidents before him did all together. He did in 1 year. He's done more to secure this country, to make things better, to put things in place so that we could have a secure, economically secure, safe country to live in, grow in, raise our children in, praise God in, and help others to come to Christ in. So that compression of him getting so much done makes it feel like he's been doing a lot, or like it's been 3, 4, 5, 10 years already, but it's been 1 year. So I think as we go forward, we'll see that by pulling all the different levers at the right time, he has actually been juggling and doing the right things to make things better for this country, not demand destruction effect. And I hope you agree with that. But if you don't, you know how to voice that. You just give us a call here, and we would love to hear from you in this next section coming up. If you got to go away, we understand, but we look forward to being with you for the next half an hour.
make a point. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for you.
I know.
Navigating through investment options can be challenging, especially when you're determined to uphold your God-given values. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the world that you want to live in. Let your values guide your investment decisions and help to shape the culture in which we live. Become a beacon of light and pave the way with biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, where faith and finance collide. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Great to be here with you all this morning, folks. Phone number is 610-363-1110. Give us a call right now. We would love to talk to you. In fact, we'll devote the rest of the show to your calls and questions if you call in right now. So give us a call, 610-363-1110. Mark, the markets have opened right at the flat line. Everything's technically green right now. The Dow Jones, which has been popping, is flirting with hitting the 50,000 mark for the first time. We'll have to see. Might have a chance to hit it today. It'd have to have a strong day today, but that's fascinating. You were just telling us about
the S&P hit a record yesterday?
Yeah, yes, it did. Yeah, both the Dow and the S&P hit record highs yesterday. Dow finished up a full percent. The S&P was around about 0.6%, and the NASDAQ was up as well, just off of its record highs. Mark, you were telling us about a book that was written long ago about like the Dow Jones hitting 20,000 points or something like that.
No, beyond that. Here, I got it right here.
Yeah.
By Charles Cadlick. It's called The Dow 100,000. By the way, this is a really old book. It was, he used that because the Dow at the time it was written, I believe, was like at 7,500 or something like that. And what he was trying to say is just all the general things that happen with inflation, with all the different things that we could see this, and we need to be real about what the markets do and don't do. But I mean, even now, Dow 100,000 sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Even though it's hitting 50,000. Of course, we're going to see new highs in all the indexes. Even if the markets really stayed flat in the sense that nothing happened but inflation, think about how far the markets would have come on their own anyway. And then when we look at the compression of the available stocks to buy into, which, we have substantially less stocks today than we did 30, 40 years ago to buy into in the markets. And then the number of people involved and the number of households involved in buying stocks, because back in the 60s and the early 70s, that's when we saw the changeover to 401ks instead of institutionally ran retirement plans. And that's when we saw IRAs come in. I think it was in the 70s or the 80s. That's when those laws came in for the different IRAs. All this kind of stuff just happened back then that caused more and more households to get involved in the markets. Think about this. Less than 30% of households in the late 60s, early 70s were involved in the stock market. Today, they're estimating it's close to 70 or 80%. Just the demand itself has been pushing the market up over that time. So you have compression of assets to invest in, and you have expansion of people wanting to invest in them, and then you have the inflation of the dollar. All that comes together, it's going to push the markets up. It all makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, Mark. 610.
Sure, took me down a rabbit trail there, didn't you?
That's right. That's my goal, Mark. If I can direct you down these rabbit trails, that's where the fun begins. If you want to direct Mark down a rabbit trail with a question, give us a call, 610-363-1110. Mark, we did get a commentary out yesterday, as well as a couple of sell alerts. I believe we're gonna be talking more about those sell alerts on Thursday's conference call. Partners, hope you'll join us for that. 3 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Mark, we do have a couple questions we can get to here.
Excellent.
Let's do Timothy. Timothy says, hey, Mark, I work for an engineering consulting firm that uses Charles Schwab and only offers Vanguard funds, which I know are not biblically responsible. I appreciate all your help and wisdom with perhaps a letter or a pamphlet about suggesting biblically responsible stocks and ETFs for 401ks. Any wisdom for Timothy here, Mark?
Absolutely, Timothy, you're nailing it again. You're right on line. You've got the right attitude. We do have a letter that I put together for our partners that they could send to their 401k administrators, to their company, and it's very respectful, very honoring to your company, because they are giving you benefits, they are being kind to you, and they are supporting you in that way. And it's a way to wake them up, to bring consciousness that they are excluding you as a certain group just because you believe in the Bible, but do it in a way that honors them and brings them to consciousness and helps them along to offer you those things. And you can get that. You can just, you've emailed us. So what I'll do is, Seth, I guess we could have Timothy, we could email Timothy that letter.
Yeah.
And then he could change it any way he wants and send it on to his company.
Timothy, I got your email address. I'm making a note for myself to send that to you today. So you'll see that letter in your inbox today, brother. Appreciate your
We
heart
need
beating
more
our
people
eye.
doing this, by the way, because the
really
more
do.
people that do it, the quicker the administrators respond. Also, I would like to say that we have talked about getting this letter in our resource area on the website, and I believe that'll happen soon.
Yep.
So that as a partner, you could just go out there and say, I need send a letter to my 401k. I wonder if they have anything. Oh, there it is. Boom. And just download it right there.
Yep. And until we get that out, Mark, I'll just say, if anybody else is listening and is in a similar situation Timothy is, and you want a copy of this letter, just send me an email, seth@fism.tv, and I'll send that to you today. You can let Pat know, or you can just send me an email or put a question in the contact us page there. It's good stuff. Mark, this next one comes from Thomas. Now, Thomas is not a partner. He's from California. Thomas, we appreciate you listening to us, brother. He says, hey, Mark, what are your thoughts on Primerica? They're a publicly traded company, been around for almost 50 years. And I was just curious as far as what you thought about the overall company, about what it stood for. Is it a good company to invest in? I hope you have a great day. What do you think, Mark, for Thomas?
Well, that's good. And if it's clean, that's the first hurdle. When we analyze a stock, the first thing I try to do is screen it. When we screen it, if it comes clean, then I can move on to the time, the time I have to put in to look at the fundamentals and everything, and the balance sheets and the debt, and look at everything going on with it and the technicals. But if it doesn't screen clean, there's no use in moving on. So if Primerica is clean, which I didn't look up, obviously, because you're just asking me about this. If it is, then I would look forward to looking at it.
And Mark, I can actually confirm, sorry to interrupt you, but it does screen clean on Evaluator. So it's a good first step. Yep.
So that's a good first step. Primerica is a publicly traded financial service company founded in 1977. I remember Primerica when it came out, and quite frankly, I don't have a good vibe from the experience of what they did back then, because they had some issues. We'll talk about that just a little bit here. But the business model, what you want to look at is the business model and their strength and their tensions. They do have steady cash flow. They're straightforward balance sheet, and they have an emphasis on insurance protection and financial awareness. They've changed over the years multiple times, which I'm so glad that they did. But it started off as a multi-level marketing style distribution model that I really didn't like, and the sales pitch and I thought there was a lot of problems, and I wasn't wrong, because they faced a lot of regulatory scrutiny early on in lawsuits, primarily due to their sales and recruiting practices, their promises on paying commissions once you got your license on things that you helped them sell before they got, there was all sorts of things like that. So, but since then, they've changed and they've grown. So while historic issues do affect how we feel towards a company, like it did for me, I don't think it disqualifies it. So a wise investor asks whether the company has learned, adapted, and operated responsibly now and over time. And I think they're a much better company. They're not a high growth story, but that's okay. Strong, steady growth is a good idea. So for long-term investors, it could be considered if as a small portion of a properly diversified portfolio rather than a core holding. That's the way I would look at it. Bottom line.
Mark, how much emphasis do you put in the fact that a company like this has been around for, you said 1977, so if we have 49 years, that's long-term success, at least to remain.
I think that's a plus.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's a plus. At the very least, they've showed they can manage the company, adapt, and do well. So, yeah, I think that's a plus. But at the same time, because it is slow growth, because I don't see, anything in it that would make me go, wow, over the next 3 to 5 years, this looks like a really good, with comparing it to what else is out there. I'd say it's not a bad stock. It just hasn't done anything to make me go, wow, I think I'd like to put that on my list. That's all. It could be on somebody else's list if they believe it's ready for an expansion, if they see something in it that I don't see through the numbers or through the news that I see on them. So all I'm saying is I'm pretty neutral on it. I don't have any problems if you want to put it in your portfolio. It's clean. It has some foundational things. It just doesn't excite me in any way.
Absolutely. 610-363-1110. Folks, we got a line open. Stephen and Menda, we'll get to you guys. If you tried to call in earlier, folks, and you weren't able to get through, try again. 610-363-1110. We'll get to your calls on the other side of this break. Mark, I did want to mention we don't have the weekly ag focus that we normally have on Wednesdays, but it is on the website. However, we are going to have, I think, I'm confirming this as we speak, but Craig Halgard with a possible discussion tomorrow, Mark, about silver, which I'm really interested
I wanted to bring him in on this discussion because he is so smart. I just love talking to him about these things. Yeah. It'll be fun.
And it may, Mark, be a FISM record, because I think it's the first time ever in the history of the ministry that Craig has come on to talk about silver. So I'll be excited for that conversation. We'll hopefully have him tomorrow. Talents. Exactly right. Folks, give us a call, 610-363-1110. We'll get to you if you call in right now, 610-363-1110. We'll be right back after this.
I heard about Jesus in my public school, and my life changed.
For over 25 years, God has used Crossroads Kids Club to bring the gospel right to where children are, inside public schools.
Will you help us share Jesus with kids in public schools? I want more kids to have the same chance that I had.
Would you help reach more children by making a gift to Crossroads today?
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachourschools.com.
As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant. My family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She offered to get me an ultrasound. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep him.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Well, folks, we got a full board, so keep trying. 610-363-1110. Someone will drop. We'll get to someone. We'll try to knock out all these calls in this segment here. So give us a call, 610-363-1110. Mark, let's get to Stephen, shall we? Stephen is calling from Texas. Good morning, Stephen.
Hello, Stephen.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Okay, good. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, first off, you knew who I was because of my number, but I need to inform you, I'm now Stephen from Iowa, not Stephen from Texas anymore.
Nice. Moving north, Stephen. You tricked us there.
Okay, but I just want to know, did you move or did they move you out?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
They ran you out of Texas.
Yeah. I picked the right time of year to do it. Okay, serious question. And I'm a little surprised I haven't heard more about this, but what do you think is going to be the effect of the change of authority in Venezuela on the stock market, particularly energy stocks, but I'm willing to take an answer for all of the above. On
my end, Seth, it got real dirty. I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah,
Can you help me
Stephen,
with this?
we're going to put you on hold there, brother. So, Mark, Steve is wondering, with everything that's happening in Venezuela, what will this do to the markets that might be affected by this? Particularly, we're talking oil companies, oil stock. What do you think might happen as a result of all this? And I think, Stephen, if I'm correct, this is kind of regarding, Mark, what we talked about in the beginning part of the show with how, the markets have really not been that concerned despite everything that's been happening down there. What do you think?
No, actually, it has given a little boost to some of the oil companies, mostly the processing. Those companies that are built for processing crude oil. A lot of people, what I've read is Venezuelan oil is what is considered dirty oil. It's not like sweet crude in Texas or whatever. It takes a lot of processing to get it into the products that are used around the world, like gasoline and diesel and whatnot. So
Mark,
it takes.
I guess that's what you get with communist oil, right? It's going to be dirty. I'm just kidding.
My goodness. Yeah. No, but so those companies that have processing plants and have the knowledge in that are looking to be able to get involved in rebuilding and getting that done over there. We also have the mid tier where the transportation areas of tankers and pipelines and stuff like that. They're going to be boosted. They could be boosted by it. So there's a lot of positive things that could come out of it. We also could see the price of oil be affected by it. And I think that's a downward trend over the next couple of years, not only because of that, but other things. But maybe that could affect some drillers and others in a negative way, because when the price of oil gets down below a certain point, it costs more to get it out of the ground than you can sell it for. So it may stifle drillers from actually putting some new holes in the ground there to bring it out. And that's okay, because we got enough holes in the ground, it sounds like, and enough going in that if it doesn't, we'll still have the quantity of oil we need to keep gas and transportation and all the things we use our petroleum products for, bring the price down on them anyway. So it is going to affect the world. It is going to affect the economics, because petroleum affects everything. It doesn't matter what product you're thinking of, it affects it. If you're thinking about technology, guess what? It takes transportation. It takes energy to run the factories to make microchips. It takes energy to do, energy affects everything, bottom line. And Trump nailed that early on, and he wants to bring those prices down, so he will. But yeah, I think the oil industry, the energy industry will be affected, with some it affected in very positive ways and some not so much.
Stephen, it's a great question, brother.
Just need to be discerning on what energy companies or what type of companies you're looking at to invest in with those.
Awesome, Mark. Let's get to Scott. Scott is calling from Georgia.
All righty. Good morning, Scott. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. Morning, Mark. I haven't talked to you, so welcome to the program here. Excited
thank
to have
you
in the leadership role. So go Blues, by the way.
You're the man. Nobody said that on the show ever yet. Thank you.
Who
are the Blues?
I'm kidding.
This from a guy who has an eagle pillowcase.
That's right. Hey, I got a lot out of yesterday's program. I don't get a chance to listen every day, but yesterday I did. And Seth, thanks for receiving my email and responding so quickly.
Got it, Scott.
I just really wanted to put a bug in your all's ears. I don't anticipate that you've yet talked about that, but hopefully on tomorrow's partner call, this can be at least a conversation started. I do a yearly reallocation or rebalancing of the portfolio. And I've only been a partner for a couple of years. And so moving from a non-BRI investments to BRI has been a 2+ year process. I'm still not done. I mean, things like REITs and preferreds and financials had almost no investments in. So moving real slowly. Shanna as well last year, kind of said, hey, either tap the brakes or put on the brakes. And that's kind of really slowed down the process of rebalancing or just continuously moving assets into BRI vehicles. But I'm curious if you as an organization do a rebalancing. When would asset allocation models be refreshed and updated? I know a couple times in the past I've been kind of caught flat-footed as I was buying in to assets that then went on BRI, and there was even yesterday, right? I'm looking at a new one, and then it's like, oh,
we don't want to talk about that.
No, I'm not busting anybody's chops, but it's just kind of like anything that y'all can do to give me more bandwidth and view, it'd be helpful. So
I appreciate that. No, Scott, that's good insights. 2 years, I don't have any problems with it taking 2 years to convert to BRI. Outside of during that 2 years, you are wading in the swamp of ugliness and evil. Bottom line, you are still partnering there. I've had just like many people, our journey is a little different. I've had people I know people who have come to Christ and immediately their life changed overnight. They sold the stuff that was calling them to do evil things. Like I knew a musician who sold all his music equipment that he really coveted, and he loved being a star on stage and stuff, and he got rid of everything and walked away from it overnight. And I've known others that played in the bars for years upon years upon years till they realized what they were doing and what kind of songs they were singing and how they were helping program people to sin instead of come closer to Christ. So the same thing's true with moving down the road of investing with biblical integrity. Some people immediately go, ooh, I can't be here anymore. This is so ugly. I don't want to partner with abortion, pornography. I don't want to be part of that in any way. I don't want to be part of encouraging young people to get sexually crazy. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to partner with companies that have addictive products that are destroying lives. I want to move on. And so they just sell everything and they move at any expense. That's cool. Other people do it systematically, and that's cool too, because it's wherever God has you. I lean more towards the first, but I also, we all have our different way to do things. As far as rebalancing, a calendar once a year is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's good to review your portfolio. A deep dive once a year is a good idea. Lock in some gains, clean things up, get rid of the dirty, get rid of the sad and the bad returns. Those companies that just have fallen apart. That's okay. Lock in some of the capital gains. Lock in some of the tax harvesting. That's all good. But more importantly, it's to be rebalancing along the way. I call it pruning. I don't know what other people call it, but just like the call we had earlier today, the gentleman was asking, when do we sell this? It's gone up, 600%. When do we sell this? Well, maybe we don't ever sell it. Maybe we prune it back to where it's in our asset allocation and we lock in the gains. We put in $1,000 and it's grown to $7,000. Let's sell $6,000 and lock in those gains on $6,000, and we still have $1,000 into it. And if it continues to grow until you get the hold or sell signal, then that's fine too. So rebalancing can take different activities or different cues. One of the cues is when something has grown substantially, you should consider pruning it back and entrusting that God would prefer his money be managed prudently and not trying to gamble it to try and time the top or time the bottom. That's the bottom line. So yeah, reviewing it, you might find things that have grown immensely, or you might find things that are dirty, and you can move at those times. Those are always a time to rebalance when they go on the BRI watch or a BRI sell list. That's a good time to rebalance your portfolio. And your call is perfect. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for your love for the Lord and your desire to invest with biblical integrity. And thank you for being with us. I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. God bless everyone.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.